Episode 5. The First Butterfly. They are ready to discover the Chamber of Awakening and witness the appearance of the first butterfly of spring. As they leave the Pavilion of Memories, the path of spring continues before them, now lined with trees whose blossoms are just beginning to give way to fresh green leaves, a sign that spring is progressing beyond the equinox moment. The equinox orb floats ahead, guiding their way, while the crystalline butterfly figurine glows with an inner light that pulses in rhythm with their footsteps. The Chamber of Awakening is the heart of the spring labyrinth, Eloise explains as they walk. It is where the season's full potential is realized and where the first butterfly emerges to mark the true beginning of spring. Is this butterfly different from the ones we've already seen? Aidan asks, remembering the blue, gold, and purple butterflies that guided them along the equinox paths. Oui, Eloise nods. The equinox butterflies are creatures of transition. They exist in the balance point between seasons. The first butterfly is different. It is a being of pure spring energy, born anew each year when the season fully awakens. The path curves gently through flowering groves and beside musical streams until it reaches a circular clearing. In the center stands a structure unlike any they've seen before in the labyrinth, a perfect dome of what appears to be living crystal, its surface faceted like a diamond, but transparent enough to see the interior. Within, a single tree grows, its branches covered with closed buds that seem to pulse with inner light. La Chambre d'éveil, the Chamber of Awakening, Eloise announces, her voice hushed with reverence. The children approach the crystal dome, marveling at its perfect construction. There is no visible entrance, just the seamless crystal surface reflecting the surrounding spring landscape. How do we get inside? Maya wonders, placing her hand gently against the crystal wall. In response, the crystalline butterfly figurine begins to glow more intensely. Eloise gestures for them to hold it up to the dome. When they do, a section of the crystal wall shimmers and dissolves, creating an archway, just large enough for them to enter one by one. Inside, the air is filled with a sweet fragrance, like flowers on the verge of blooming, and the quality of light is different, softer and more golden than outside. The tree at the center is even more impressive up close. Its trunk is silver white, its branches gracefully curved, and every twig bears a closed bud that pulses with golden light. L'arbre du premier papillon, the tree of the first butterfly, Eloise explains. Each spring, when the conditions are perfect, one of these buds will open to reveal the first butterfly. The children gather around the tree, gazing up at the countless buds with wonder. The equinox orb floats up to hover among the branches, its light mingling with that of the pulsing buds. But how do we know which bud will open? Luca asks, his scientific mind seeking to understand the process. That depends on you, Eloise replies with a mysterious smile. The first butterfly responds to those who have truly embraced the spirit of spring, renewal, growth, and the joy of awakening. She gestures to the miniature gardens they've created. Place your jardins miniatures around the base of the tree. They represent your connection to the spring energy and will help call forth the first butterfly. The children carefully arrange their small gardens in a circle around the silver-white trunk. As they do, the tree seems to respond, its pulsing light growing stronger, the buds swelling slightly as if preparing to open. "Now, stand back and watch," Eloise instructs, joining them in a wider circle around the tree. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, the equinox orb begins to spin faster among the branches, its light intensifying until it's almost too bright to look at directly. The orb moves from branch to branch, as if examining each bud, until it stops before one that pulses more strongly than the others. The orb hovers there, bathing the chosen bud in its combined light of blue, gold, and purple. Slowly, the bud begins to unfurl, its golden glow spreading outward as delicate petals of light open to reveal something nestled within. This is your fifth and final choice, dear listeners. What should emerge from the opening bud? 1. A single, perfect butterfly with rainbow-colored wings. 2. Multiple small butterflies of various spring colors. 3. A butterfly-shaped being of pure, golden light. As you consider this choice, imagine the breathless anticipation in the Chamber of Awakening, the pulsing light of countless buds, the unfurling petals of the Chosen One, and the expectant faces of our young explorers as they witness this magical moment. As the bud continues to open, the children watch in awe as the third option manifests. A butterfly-shaped being of pure golden light emerges from within. Unlike the solid forms of the equinox butterflies, this creature appears to be made of living light, translucent, radiant, and constantly shifting in form while maintaining its butterfly shape. Le premier papillon, the first butterfly, Eloise whispers, her voice filled with wonder despite having witnessed this event many times before. The golden light butterfly hovers above the opened bud for a moment, its wings slowly expanding until they span nearly a meter across. Then it begins to move, flying in an expanding spiral around the tree. As it flies, it leaves a trail of golden sparkles that hang in the air like tiny stars. "It's beautiful," Maya breathes, her artistic soul captivated by the creature's ethereal beauty. "And look what's happening to the tree," Zara points out, her observant eyes catching the changes occurring around them. Indeed, as the first butterfly circles the tree, the pulsing buds begin to open one by one, releasing not more butterflies, but bursts of golden pollen that float in the air like miniature galaxies. The combined effect is breathtaking. The spiral flight of the light butterfly, the constellation-like patterns of golden pollen, and the silver-white tree now fully awake and glowing from within. "The awakening is complete," Eloise explains. "The first butterfly has emerged, and spring has fully arrived in the labyrinth." The light butterfly completes its spiral flight around the tree, then begins a new pattern, flying in graceful loops around the children themselves. As it passes each child, it leaves a trail of golden light that briefly envelops them before being absorbed into their skin. "It's recognizing you," Eloise tells them, "acknowledging your role in awakening spring within the labyrinth." When the butterfly has acknowledged each child, it returns to hover before them as a group. Its form shifts slightly, becoming more defined and solid, though still radiating golden light. Then, to the children's amazement, it speaks, not in words exactly, but in thoughts and images that form directly in their minds. Explorers of the equinox, you have balanced night and day, rest and growth, coolness and warmth. You have learned the ways of spring and participated in its traditions. You have planted gardens of intention and witnessed the migration of transformation. For this, I grant you my mark and my blessing. The butterfly's light intensifies, and each child feels a warm sensation on their right wrist. Looking down, they discover identical marks appearing on their skin, delicate outlines of butterflies that shimmer with golden light before settling into what looks like a golden tattoo. La marque du premier papillon, the mark of the first butterfly, Eloise explains with a smile. It is a rare honor. The mark will fade from sight when you leave the labyrinth, but its essence will remain with you, connecting you to the spring energy and allowing you to return to this section of the labyrinth whenever you wish. The first butterfly continues its communication. I offer one more gift, a transformation of the tool that helped you on your journey. It flies to where the equinox orb still hovers among the branches. As the butterfly touches the orb, both beings pulse with intensified light. When the light subsides, the orb has changed. It's still crystalline and spherical, but now it contains what appears to be a miniature version of the entire spring section of the labyrinth, complete with tiny, moving figures that represent the children on their journey. The memory sphere will allow you to revisit your adventures in the spring labyrinth, even when you are in the world above. It will also guide you to new spring chambers that will appear as the season progresses. The transformed orb, now the memory sphere, floats down to hover before the children. Luca reaches out and takes it carefully, feeling its comfortable weight and the gentle warmth it radiates. "Thank you," he says, speaking for the group to the first butterfly. The butterfly performs one more circuit around them, then returns to the central tree. It hovers before the opened bud from which it emerged, then, in a flash of golden light, transforms into hundreds of smaller butterflies, each no bigger than a fingernail, but all glowing with the same golden light. These tiny butterflies disperse throughout the crystal dome, some landing on the children's shoulders or in their hair, others settling on the miniature gardens, and still others flying out through the crystal walls as if passing through solid matter. They will spread throughout the labyrinth and beyond, Eloise explains, carrying the energy of spring renewal wherever they go. Some may even find their way to your world, appearing as ordinary butterflies, but bringing the same transformative energy. As the last of the tiny golden butterflies disappears, the children notice that their miniature gardens have changed. The plants have grown even more, and each garden now contains a perfect miniature butterfly bush in full bloom. "Another gift," Eloise says. "These gardens will remain here in the Chamber of Awakening, continuing to grow and flourish throughout the spring season, but their energy is connected to the intentions you set when planting them. As these gardens thrive, so too will the aspects of your lives you wished to nurture. The children take a final look at their transformed gardens, feeling a sense of completion and accomplishment. Their equinox adventure has come full circle from the changing paths where they first encountered the spring labyrinth, through the butterfly migration and the challenge of balance, to Eloise's story, and now the emergence of the first butterfly. It is time to return to your world, Eloise tells them gently. The spring equinox is drawing to a close above, and the portal will soon shift to reflect the advancing season. With the memory sphere safely in Luca's care and the mark of the first butterfly on their wrists, the children follow Eloise out of the crystal dome. The path of spring now leads them back toward the entrance, but they notice that it has changed. The trees are fuller, the flowers more abundant, the light warmer and more golden. Spring has progressed even during their short time in the Chamber of Awakening. As they approach the portal that will take them back to the stone circle in their world, Eloise turns to face them. You have experienced the magic of the spring equinox in the labyrinth, she says. You have witnessed the balance of opposing forces and the awakening of a new season. Carry these experiences with you, mes chers explorateurs, and remember that the same magic exists in your world, if you know how to look for it. She embraces each child in turn, then steps back as the portal activates, a shimmering doorway of green and gold light that will return them to their own world. Au revoir, mes amis, Eloise says with a warm smile, until our next adventure in the labyrinth. Remember to watch for the tiny golden butterflies in your world. They will remind you of today's journey and the continuing magic of spring. The children step through the portal one by one, carrying the memory sphere and wearing the invisible but present mark of the first butterfly. As they emerge into the stone circle above, they find that the sun is setting, cast in the same golden light they experienced in the Chamber of Awakening. The equinox day is ending, but the spring season is fully underway, just as it is in the labyrinth below. They look down at their wrists and see that, as Eloise predicted, the golden butterfly marks are no longer visible, but they can still feel a warm tingle where the marks appeared, a reminder of their magical experience. And as they turn to leave the stone circle and return to their everyday lives, Zara's observant eyes catch a flash of movement nearby. A small golden butterfly, seemingly ordinary but with an unusual luminescence, lands briefly on a flowering bush before flying away into the twilight. "Did you see that?" she asks the others, pointing. They all nod, exchanging knowing smiles. The magic of the labyrinth has followed them home, just as Eloise promised. And somewhere, in the depths of the enchanted labyrinth of Luminaria, their miniature gardens continue to grow, their intentions continue to manifest, and the first butterfly continues its flight, spreading the energy of spring renewal throughout magical and mundane worlds alike. And so, dear listeners, we conclude our spring equinox adventure in the enchanted labyrinth. The children have discovered the changing paths, witnessed the butterfly migration, solved the challenge of balance, learned about Eloise's connection to spring traditions, and finally encountered the first butterfly itself. They return to their world changed by these experiences, carrying the memory sphere and the invisible mark of the first butterfly. Connections to the labyrinth that will allow them to return for new adventures as the spring season progresses. Until our next journey together through the magical realms of the labyrinth, may you too experience the renewal and awakening that spring brings, and may you notice the small magical moments that transform ordinary days into extraordinary adventures. End of episode 5. Thank you for listening to Volume 2, Enchanted Labyrinth, Spring Awakening, by Jack Jellybean. We are a YouTube channel, publishing new volumes 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Please subscribe and activate the notification bell to be notified of any new volume. We have multiple series in development, so there will be something for everyone. Copyright 2025, Enchanted Labyrinth Productions, all rights reserved.